Yeah. Let's go there. Ready? You want to write it out? Okay.
Are we guys ready to record?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Hey.
Say hello.
Hi.
Still need to approve the agenda, right? Okay. I want to add some things to the agenda.
Okay.
Don't want to touch that.
There's some controversies that.
Task force for student break resources.
Probably gonna be site itself or something. I don't know exactly.
You want them in discussions or debate or
Not technically.
Well, okay, so put it under decisions because I want to formally I want to add anti-racist trainings for trustees under discussions. But we can work on it. We can't make it happen, but we can talk to people. We can
Pass a resolution.
What?
Okay, that's a resolution.
Yeah, we can.
Oh,
we
we
can
can make
do
that.
it.
No, that's almost.
Can you also add discussion?
You're so debate that.
I don't think that's not going to happen.
Put it. Maybe fact finding. No, not fact finding, but like general like the pursuit of information that people want. Because like clearly there's a lot of information, like solid information that people want to get their hands on, and we can obviously help with that.
Because
We have some information that people want that we can give, but like
I'm just gonna put that fact finding.
That's fine. Oh, awesome. Can we also put on discussions the referendum? No,
No, ours.
our referendum. We need to figure out how to continue with that.
I also
Sure that happens.
and I think talking about who plans on resigning and also what positions people are like, just a general discussion about like
Next
what
semester.
what do have people made decisions about next semester. I think would be a good conversation to have, and then also election for next and like interim senate because like I don't know anything about how that works.
right, and also maybe SOC co-chair.
Well, that'll be.
I think we're gonna talk about that later.
Close out. Anybody have anything
And
else?
institutional memory.
That is that connected?
Like connected.
Okay.
But I do think it's a separate discussion.
Megan.
Like some sort of task force for dealing with like the impact of national movements on students' academic abilities. So like talking about incompletes and granting like mass incompletes, or like an A to C sliding scale grading system for the semester, so that no students are getting Fs. Students that were involved in stuff like this, or like can prove that they've been like triggered by it.
Okay.
Okay, so a lot to talk about today.
We always have a lot to talk about.
We also haven't had a real plenary in a long time.
That's true.
We haven't. So we're gonna have a whole lot of discussions, but I guess first check-ins.
Do we?
Proposal
Just
to skip check-ins.
Yay.
Can we just say who's not here?
Justin and Zach.
And Justin.
Zach Gill and Justin Long.
They're both excused.
Okay.
Good slide.
Right.
Oh, hey, so one of my members sent Noel an email about it. He didn't show up, so I guess I'll talk for him. But SOC is currently doing a petition to get temporary workers to be able to have a staff meal. I'm not exactly sure what we as a student representative body can do other than like sponsor or like say like we agree with it. But I guess I'll just inform you what it is. It's so I'll just read it really quickly. Temporary workers hired by CES through subcontracted staffing agencies are discriminated against in the workplace. Student workers in CES are provided with a staff meal on every shift. Student workers are allowed to take as much food as they want while choosing from an array of options and eat it on their break. then in quotation marks, all students who work a shift several hours in length will be permitted to take a 15-minute break, ellipses, in dining hall facilities where it is possible. If a student employee is authorized for a break, they are usually authorized to eat a meal at no charge from that facility on their break. End quote from the student employee handbook. Then non-student employees, however, are not permitted to eat a meal while on break unless they have worked more than 5 hours in a day, which usually requires working more than one shift. Temporary workers do not get to decide their own schedule and are often not scheduled for 2 consecutive shifts. Full-time UAW union workers are typically scheduled for 8-hour shifts and therefore get to eat a meal, a staff meal each day. Temporary workers are the only workers in CDS who do not get to eat a meal on their shift unless they fulfill this arbitrary 5-hour requirement. Temporary workers have to stand for hours in front of prepared food and serve it to students, co-workers, and managers who are not allowed to eat it themselves. Worse yet, at the end of the meal, most of the leftover food is thrown away. These temporary workers are forced to throw away hundreds of pounds of prepared food every day and are not allowed to eat any of it. We are calling upon Oberlin College Campus Dining Services to end this discriminatory policy and to immediately institute a policy that allows temporary workers to eat a staff meal at no cost on their scheduled breaks, regardless of how many hours they have worked. This policy change would not cost the college any money because so much food is wasted already, and would not cause any disruption to the normal functioning of CDS because temporary workers are already granted a 15-minute break. The policy was arbitrarily changed 2 years ago to strip temp workers of their staff meal, and it can be changed back just as easily. Temporary workers in CDS are the most mistreated workers in CDS. They have no regular schedule, get paid close to minimum wage, have little job security, have no union or collective bargaining rights, and are generally treated poorly by managers and staffing agencies. The fact that temporary workers are not allowed to eat a staff meal on the job is adding insult to injury. An injury to one is an injury to all. This is simply one way in which workers are mistreated and discriminated against at the Oberlin College. Student Labor Action Coalition, SLAC, is committed to fighting for economic justice for all workers, students, and community members. Join us by adding your name to this petition. So that's the petition. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know if Senate wants to do anything about it because this is mostly an internal policy in CDS, you know, and there's been meetings with, I guess, Michelle Gross and like other CDS members, and we've talked to Real Food and other groups who've like also worked around this issue for the past. Like I said, it was changed 2 years ago, and like there's been continual interest in getting the policy to revert. Yeah.
So, I guess OpenStack is on Mock first, and then Ty, and then Sarah.
Yeah, so 2 questions.
Oh, yeah, quick thing. Right now we have 1,063 responses, or people who signed.
Where can I find this? Did you
All over
Email.
the internet.
You can't see the
Go to my Facebook.
number of signatures.
You haven't seen it on Facebook?
Yeah, but
It's in like the Oberlin groups.
it was emailed to all senators, but I can
A lot of people have shared it.
send it.
Chester.
I'll do a reply all.
Yeah. So I had 2 questions. First, so is the policy
Oh,
within
I read
res
like it.
ed / CDS's
Yes.
rules, or is it like the subcontractor?
Bon appetit.
What?
Are
It's
they
not bon
looking to
appetit
hire-
because they're like temp workers, like they hire them from a temp agency outside
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, this is a
Right.
policy within CDS and has nothing to do with like the contractor, because the contractor can't like obviously like put regulations on like whether they can eat or not, you know.
And second, do we know why it was changed 2 years ago?
I mean, the to control costs was essentially the answer that I was told about from the students who like went to meetings with Michelle Gross.
So what was the answer to the fact that they're throwing away so much food?
I don't think there was like a concrete response that I can vouch on, you know. I was not one of the students to personally meet with Michelle Gross, but I'm familiar with the results.
So who has authority?
Was that a direct response, or?
There's a question, but
Okay, well,
clarify my question. So ultimately, who has the authority over the practices related to temp workers? Like, so who changed the policy? Like, who made the decision to change the policy? Like, where does that come from? Who has authority over that?
Might not know.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, it was an exception.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I understand correctly, CDS made the decision to change the policy. I think it was probably generated out of cost considerations, but also comparative union sort of complexities, right? In terms of if you make a decision that affects sort of one group of workers, it inevitably affects other groups of workers, and that's not a justification of the change of the policy. It's sort of more of an explanation, and I think Michelle Gross would be able to explain more of the details. So you asked two questions, right? One is who changed the policy, and then who has ultimate authority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the answer to who changed the policy is CDS. The answer is to who has ultimate authority. That would be me, and that would be Mike Franson. And so that's ultimately where, at this point, a decision to change the policy again would probably get kicked to. This is not an exact direct response, and it's not an answer meant to sort of encourage or discourage signing the petition, because the petition raises, I think, a whole range of issues for consideration. I talked to Michelle Gross on, would it have been Wednesday of last week, and what I told her I want us to do on an interim basis while we sort of get all the information on things like what were the factors that caused the change in the policy, what would be the both intended and unintended consequences of changing the policy again. I think what we can do immediately is to start to allow temporary workers to eat meals at the end of their 2 to 4 hour shifts for exactly the reason that Mahmoud raised. And I also think the petition raises, which is, why are we throwing away food if there are people who want to eat it? Right? That makes absolutely no sense to me, at least. So what we're going to start to do immediately is, and by immediately I mean as quickly as possible, make sure that at the end of shifts, temporary workers can eat meals, because we know we have food left over. And it makes no sense to throw it away and compost it if there are temporary workers who want to eat it.
Just adding on to that, I think that issue goes even deeper, because there are people who are hungry in this community every day, and we're throwing food away, and that's just absurd.
And that's another consideration. I mean, I think that it is logistically easier to make the change that I think I'm suggesting we should make right away.
Right.
I think that's another consideration that we should be looking at. I understand there would probably be some health
That's much more complicated than changing the
considerations.
policy. Yeah.
Right, but I did want to say that I would like to see us make this immediate change while we're figuring out what the longer term decision should be.
I thought I'd put that out.
Yeah. No, no.
Just
Great.
to-
Sorry, that was kind of a direct response.
Director, if I could do it, just this about that particular issue of food waste. Oberlin Food Justice is in working on that right
Awesome.
now. So
Good to hear.
I know that that's been a thing since our freshman year.
Yeah.
Ty was next on stack. Do you still want to?
Yeah, all I was gonna say, like, cause Zach said, like, I'm not totally sure what Student Senate can do. I signed the petition.
Can we outreach folks who put that on our Facebook page?
I think that it's possible if we find that the progress that's being made isn't satisfactory in the future, or we find the answers to these questions isn't satisfactory, that we can like pass a resolution if we don't like it. I would wait and see if this gets resolved independently first. But I do think, if it need be, we could go in that direction.
I just wanted to know, and you don't need to know the answer, but this is my question. The workers who come from Murray Ridge, which is the local association for people with disabilities, I don't know if you guys have noticed them, but we employ local persons with disabilities. Do you know if this affects them and how? Because my guess is they're not working more than 5 hours.
I guess to respond as concretely as I can, I cannot give a definite response on like who covers them and like their wages and whatnot, and like their compensation. But I would assume that they have like a special body to like talk about compensation, because they're like different from all the other workers,
My understanding is the college pays the temp organization directly. like a lump sum of money, and then the temp organization provides the school with the labor. So like the school doesn't pay the workers directly.
That's not the
No, I
answer
don't.
to my question.
I don't think the Murray Ridge workers would be covered under the temp worker policy.
But are they covered for meals then is my question, and would that be something that SLAC would be willing to look into, because they are insanely marginalized within the workforce. Special needs work has been something I've done since high school. They're insanely marginalized within society, and frequently they don't get paid minimum wage, they don't get meals, they don't get respect within the workforce. Would you guys be willing to look into that?
I mean, yeah, we're like the plan is to meet with, try to meet with Michelle Gross or someone within CES before the end of the week, and we can bring that up for questioning. I did have a question though. Do we have anyone on the CES the committee right now?
The CDS, I'm on housing and dining.
Okay, maybe you want to. I don't think that.
Is there a CDS committee?
I don't think there's a CDS.
No, I think it is housing and dining.
It's a housing and dining.
Okay, well, you're not done.
I should be on
What?
Did anyone have anything to say, or are we gonna move on to announcements?
I would just say like Zach and whoever from Slack should keep us in the loop about what answers you guys. And our besties, if you know what's going on, I think we would love to stay on top of it.
Also, we should post this petition on our outreach page. Whoever's in charge of that should do that like right now.
I don't have my laptop.
You can do it on mine.
So again, I'm not suggesting that the interim step is the end-all be-all solution to the issue. Like I said, the petition raises a bunch of issues, but it does seem to me that's something that can happen right away. And so that doesn't mean we should hold that up until there's a fuller discussion of the other issues, if that makes sense. So both can happen.
Yeah.
There's, since Nick is on the housing and dining committee, if he wants to say anything, if you thought there'd be anything helpful for you to say right now.
We have a meeting tomorrow, so I will bring it up then. Yeah,
Can I talk to you
Yes,
afterwards?
yes, let's talk.
Okay.
Can somebody who has a computer message Anjali?
Yeah. Because I'm on
I can do it.
I got it.
Great.
Okay, so with that then, move on to announcements, and Sarah, go.
So I'm actually resigning as of right now. I have health issues right now. I cannot make it to the end of semester with y'all. I also think y'all knew that I was gonna resign. There was a chance of me rerunning, but like, I was always gonna free up my seat so that elections were gonna happen. But I am planning on continuing my work probably for the rest of my time here with my 2 working groups. My committee knows. So like, yeah, that's it.
I can just
Words of wisdom from me, since I've seen a lot of this just from other people on this campus, but also a lot from this body. Don't set yourselves on fire to keep others warm. And also, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, then you can't learn anything from anyone else. If you think you're the dumbest person in the room, then you can learn something from everyone. So those are my 2 sets of wisdom. I'm not great at either of them all the time, but if one of them did apply to you, the other one probably does. So have a great rest of semester, and if you need me for anything that like I was working on, y'all know how to contact me, and I'll probably be in MUD or the Science Center. Yeah.
So does that mean no points for the rest of the?
I mean, I would recommend that you appoint an operations manager, but you know, if you want to like not do that and just be an ungoverned body, that's your choice. But you know, I've been really strict on points, so there's that. Stop that.
Stop what? Oh, right.
No, stop. Wait, I'd like to point out that when Sarah approached me to tell me this in person, she was like, hey, but on the bright side, now 100% of the women on Senate are women of color.
I'm just doing this to like... The women of color.
Thank you for
Thank you,
Yeah,
Sarah.
thanks,
Thank you,
Sarah,
Sarah.
for time.
I'll be at GM on Wednesday because I have another thing about there anyway. So I'll see y'all there.
See you there.
Love you.
We'll miss you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, one down.
That's a bit dark.
That's like
Then there were 14.
That's just a formal letter.
letter.
I think that was it.
Well, it's funny that the operations manager should notify the appropriate committee chairpersons of a senator's resignation.
Well-
She is the operations manager.
Well,
So she notified herself, presumably.
She is
I'll
the.
ask her what
Here is a question though.
She
I think
said
she's
she notified.
We are
We do need
we are breaking the bylaws by not having an operations manager. Correct or
Effective
incorrect?
We should
immediately.
have one.
By saying we are now required to elect a new officer because we are compelled by the bylaws to fill any officer vacancies as soon as they happen.
no, this is just for like.
a week and a half.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean,
We don't have to fill
and
her
but also
spot.
for interim.
Isn't it really?
But-
Okay.
Oh, it's also for
How does
interim?
do you reelect
Yeah,
positions
there
for
are-
interim?
Yeah, well, no, not for interim. You stay in your position for interim, then beginning of next semester we redo positions, but there are no points assigned during interim, so it's not.
But it'd still be useful to have some of
Yeah, so who is?
Zach, what did you want to say?
I want to say, given the fact that this will mostly affect interim and not so much affect us because we only have 1 week before reading period, that I think it would be best to elect an officer once we have discussions for the next semester.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Sounds good.
We'll postpone till then.
Just nobody do anything bad that requires points until then.
Yeah.
Until it gets into discussion.
All right. So
I'm leaving.
I'm gonna just
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
One more announcement.
One more announcement?
Yeah, so for outreach, I sent an email, but we have the pancakes with the president. I guess they're doing a different type thing now. It's the 15th from 10 to 11:30 in Aspen. So we're just.
Who wants to poster? Who wants to help poster on Thursday night?
Let's do it.
All right, I'll email y'all. I'm just gonna make like stupid little Word doc poster, print them out, and
We could have
Word
we could do a real poster. We could have someone who does cool hand-drawn posters
Oh,
make our
that's
poster.
impressive.
There are lots of people. I have a couple
Also-
friends who have expressed
Okay.
interest in doing
We
that.
probably have a decent amount of money because we've only spent it on pizza, pretty much.
And printing over time.
And printing and those
We
two
could make a
gift
cool
cards.
poster. Should I ask?
you ask if before Thursday it doesn't like. I mean, pancakes are
Only
the
if we
president.
can be
This
quick.
isn't-
Because we
Yeah.
need-
So before Thursday, if it works out, then it works out. If not, I'll do what I can in Word.
I'll send a text. Do you have a person to send a text to?
I do.
Perfect.
They just like my photo.
Actually, guys, let me make sure that this isn't a study break. Because he hasn't done this before, so I'm just not sure. I assume this was in place of the copy that goes off, because that's like informally what I heard. But let me check on that for the outreach. I mean, you can put like the title, like pancakes of the president. And then,
I was gonna do all this on Thursday. So
Okay,
just
so-
keep me in the loop until then.
Just listen, Chris. Let me try pancakes.
Oh, I think so. Still not like pancakes.
Yeah.
Little ones.
Make it chill.
I would use the word
Oh, okay. Yeah, general feelings are moving on toward the officer reports.
Okay.
Wait,
Oh.
what was the proposal?
Move on towards
Great.
reports.
Alfies.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just do this.
If anyone has anything significant to say.
Do we all want to talk about? I know the four of us were in office
Your
hours
office
together.
hours.
Do we want to?
Yeah.
Did anyone
let's
talk
talk
about
about
this?
this.
Well, it's somewhat of an officer thing. I just wanted, I know we were just talking at dinner earlier about SNS and like chase policy and touching policy. And I don't know exactly, but they're in my hallway were a group of officers and then some of the res ed staff seemingly to be searching for a missing person
Yeah, was this last night?
last
I
night.
know
And this
all
was
about
in
this.
East?
Yeah, I wanted to bring it to your
I know all about
because
this.
I was
This
in
situation.
It was in East.
Now, wait, before we go into it, is there anything personal that we don't want to put on the record?
No, I have no personal
I'm saying
details.
here.
No, I mean, I don't, do you want me to make a statement? I was just saying, like, I
Talk
know what
about,
you're talking
talk
about.
about it formally outside of plenary meeting.
Yeah, like,
Okay.
I don't need to bring it up, unless you all have questions about it, in which case I'm not gonna go through the person.
But, I mean,
If you want to talk about it and you think it's important for us to know, then you should but if you don't, then
I guess, okay, the only thing that this, so also this will dovetail into my own office hour report, or not, I guess, I don't know, working group reports.
Yeah.
So maybe it can wait.
I mean, honestly, they're so intertwined though. Office hour and work group reports.
Okay, so I'll just
do it.
Go for it.
Basically, this individual is like dealing with a lot of stuff, a lot of demons, processing what's going on, and is filled with a lot of rage and having like really dark thoughts. And they were at a party and they consumed a lot of alcohol and were being like talked to by like several people at the party, like calm down, whatever. Their partner got involved and was trying to be supportive, and things got really violent with the partner. Not like physically, but very like verbally. They were being physically cornered. It was a very toxic situation. Things were broken, like furniture was damaged. He got sick. It was just like a very bad situation. And he then like ran back to East, which is where he like stays. And the area coordinator got involved. A resident student staff member got involved. And ultimately, like all he wanted was like his partner to come back and like be around, even though that was like not good at the time. And I was reached out to see if I could like mediate that, like facilitate having the partner go back to this person's like space with the area coordinator, or whatever. Yeah. So like just this, in sexualized violence working group meeting, we talked a little bit about like how someone's own like individual mental health issues are inherited by their partner, and how like individual mental health becomes an issue of like sexualized violence. And I don't know, just like I don't know how to like create support systems for people who are in relationships that are dealing with individual problems that not necessarily like pertain to the relationship. But I think that's something that a lot of students are going through who are have significant others. So yeah, I mean like that student, his partner told me like that they're concerned about him moving forward, and I don't really know like what to do or who to turn to and how to help. It's a really shitty situation, and if I really don't want SMS involved because this person is like a person of color, and like if SNS gets involved and like if he's drunk, I'm really scared that things can get really bad and that he'll just like be taken and like put in jail. And I think like everyone shares those concerns too, who's involved and like knows anything about the situation. This all also took place at my space last night. So I guess that's also important. I probably should have proceeded that with that. But yeah. Yes, as far as the office hours go,
we had some constructive discussions. We were talking about like anti-racist training, anti-oppression training for trustees, but specifically talking about how that training can be targeted towards like policy, like talking about how policy can be racist and how policy can be oppressive since they are dealing with policy. My rationale sort of for talking about this is it doesn't make sense to give them the same training that we would give, for example, a member of the SIC or the MRC who's going to be working directly with students. That's not what they're going to be doing. Their day-to-day is different than that. So I think like taking the same sort of general, like what do we want to get out? What do we want to get out of this training in terms of changing the minds of the people who we're training and changing the practices of the people we're training, but making that very deliberate for policy for what the board of trustees does and for what the steering committee does day to day, and I don't exactly know what that would look like, but again, I just putting that out there as like you should start thinking about these things. Do you want to speak to? We basically, we had a few people. We had Ty come in. Did anyone else? Gary came in. Sarah came in. And we talked a little bit about the demonstrations. And then actually we took the rest of the time to actually go do a demonstration that was going on at the time that we felt like directly related to our jobs as South Campus coordinators, South Campus liaisons, I mean. So we intended to go sit in at CV, which was really successful. A lot of people were talking And actually CDS workers were among the most supportive of these initiatives. They, they were like super on point. We were like, hey, can we do this? They were like, absolutely, absolutely. And they engaged in conversation with us. Ali was, being Ali and running around talking to tons of people. It was great because he was just like, just keep the conversations going, even if you disagree, like just keep talking. I don't care if you disagree with me, you're taking the first step and telling me that you disagree with me instead of saying silently, allowing somebody to fill in the box that you agree or disagree. Like you're taking the initiative. So it was good. There were a lot of good conversations that came of it. I think, and we're interested in doing more of these events as we get more data, because part of it was there was a sheet of paper on the table, on each table, that had a breakdown of the racial composition of Oberlin. And that's good data that we didn't have before, and that maybe isn't very well known, but it's limited data. We're getting more evidence by the day. It sounds like we just came into, if you want to speak to this.
Yeah. So we found when we were doing some research for the finances talk, I found me and Ben found the National Center for Education Statistics website. It's nces.ed.gov / I don't know what's the best page to navigate to. I'll send you guys a link.
They use data from something called the common data set.
Yeah, but on here is access to information for stuff we've been looking for, retention rates, graduation rates is on here.
Of Oberlin?
For Oberlin.
Broken down by race.
Broken down by race, gender.
Can you send that link to Paul Senate?
Yeah, I'll send the Oberlin specific one to all of you right now.
It's right there.
Can I see it?
I can read you guys the numbers if you want to hear them right now. So the overall graduation rate for Oberlin is 89%. The graduation rate for men is 87%. The graduation rate for
Can you
women.
go slower? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I know we're gonna get this, but.
Yeah, there's a few, but yeah. So for men it's 87%. Women it's 90%. American Indian, and I don't know about the validity of these numbers,
It's
but
only been 3, so
it lists American Indian or Alaska Native as 100%.
because there's been 3 and they've all graduated.
Probably.
So what year is what's the time frame?
This is from 2013.
Yes! I'm sorry.
Oh no, and I think actually it's unclear what these numbers are. Are they from 2005 to 2013? You guys can read the page. Yeah, it says 2 different places. But in any case, I'll just finish reading the numbers that you guys want the most. And then you can investigate the legitimacy of this site on there. Asian, the graduation rate is 85%. Black or African American, the graduation rate is 80%. Hispanic or Latino is 90%. Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders unlisted, presumably because we have 0. White, the graduation rate is 89%. 2 or more races, 94%. Again, no idea how they are identifying that. Race/ethnicity unknown, 100%. Again, no idea what that counts for. And non-resident alien is 87%. Which I think means they're national.
Non-resident alien?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say.
You're talking.
So graduation rates at full time.
Yeah. 2007 cohort. So this is the class I think that was meant to graduate or came in 2007.
I think it's the people coming in 2007.
Okay. Yeah. So these were the people who were due to graduate in 2011 or 2012 if they were 4 or 5 year.
Did you send it to the senator's email address? Send
yeah.
Or,
Great.
or senators.
I would rather get it directly to my inbox.
I believe the information is, I think it's from iPads.
So you guys, do you have the percentage for the student body as a whole? 89%. 89. So African Americans are 9% below. Latinos are 1% above. Okay. So I'm not sure about what.
No, and again, we also have to weigh this data with knowing that the larger the number of people in as a whole, the larger that number, the smaller the data will move in increments. The smaller it'll move increment. For example, you have 3 Pacific Islanders and 2 of them graduate, then you have a 66% graduation rate. Which
I also don't know how they're defining African American or.
I mean, and Latino, Latina, that's just a mess in terms of the census. Nobody really has any fucking idea what they're doing. when it comes to that. Like, so it's very difficult to draw anything from that.
So confusing.
Right? Like,
I would encourage everybody to definitely look at this data, because there's a lot of other sections also other than this one.
Yeah.
Some very interesting stuff.
what I'm interested is also checking out the validity of the sources that they're using to get this data. Are there sources cited on this? I guess.
Well, no,
This
it
is-
says where the
this is
data's
a
coming
common data set. And this is like a U.S. Department of Education thing. So I think these are the federal numbers, which might actually tell us something about how they identify people's races.
I would assume it's by the federal standards.
Is the federal standard higher or low? Is that the better?
It's
They
low.
changed it
That's
to
a
low
low.
number. They changed it to lower, so that's.
I mean, I think I can give a like factual
Please do.
comment on it, so I'm gonna do that. So the way that the federal standards are done is slightly more, basically the discrepancies, they have more categories than what Oberlin does, along with the fact that if you do say, oh, like personally, if I would like to say, oh, I'm half white, half black, you know, then they would count me as two or more races, right? Rather than counting on like the one that I want to like identify as. So, and they get that data. I know Oberlin specifically gets that data from like the application process or like the freshman survey that they give everyone. At least the information that they have on the Office of Research, I don't know the technical name. I have it up, but like the
Department of Institutional Research.
Yeah, the Department of Institutional Research uses a lot from like the freshman survey or like the graduation survey, things like that. For the federal government, it's a little bit different. I think they use like the application process, and they do require colleges to like send information to them. And so like I know, yeah, I think about 8%, I can't say off the top of my head, of people Oberlin classifies count as black, but only 5% count if you use the federal standards. Like I said, with more categories and with defuncting everyone who to like, yeah, trying to push people into the two or more category, kind of like does dilute that a little bit. And then I forgot my last point, so I'll just stop.
Yeah, that link didn't work.
It didn't work. Well, no, you just
Take
need
you to the
to.
homepage.
You just need to go and just type in select institution, just select Oberlin, right? Which is what I've done.
I'm just like,
I'm in the
it's a
main
really
series.
stupid website.
Oh, I remember the
Yeah,
last.
what was this last updated?
Straight out of 1999.
I just
What
made
do you
it
think
like
about
that. Yeah, maybe it's stupid.
When was the data updated?
No, the website.
Design.
Well, it's a government website, so probably not within the last
All right,
5
here,
years.
try. One second.
We know it hadn't been updated sometime after 2013.
Oh, well, they updated the data, but the data's coming from a separate data set. The website just is one of the places where you can find information from that data set.
Sure, put the data on the website.
Yeah.
Are you guys getting the links to work, or should I keep trying to figure out how to send it best? I can keep trying.
Problem is that we want to like disseminate the information. So we need a link.
That actually kind of ties into
A screenshot.
What's that? Sorry.
We need a screenshot, you know.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring up something very briefly, and we don't have to discuss this in detail, but I think it's important because in the context of what's been going on. So while we were at the Go Sit-In, I was sitting with some people and I was getting some ideas from them about how, you know, we were talking about perhaps Senate's role as an organization that does not only represent, you know, Oberlin students as a broad homogenized category, but particular marginalized community voices within that community. I think that's a very important role that Senate has, and we were talking about, you know, better ways that Senate can, with its incredible power of outreach that it has, can kind of produce a lot of awareness about these issues that individual organizations and individual people who are on the front lines of these kind of fights do not necessarily have the power of. And so it was interesting for me because I thought that this is a discussion that kind of needs to happen, is how does Senate, you know, as a body want to operate and kind of use our media outlets to kind of communicate what's going on to the student body. I put my one of the things is I was talking to Amethyst, who's head of the media group and kind of the activism around that's been put together recently, and like I'd be willing to work with her and liaise with her particular. Sorry, that sounds redundant. But anyway, her particular kind of set of interests. But I'm thinking this kind of could be a larger conversation about what's Senate's role. If we pride ourselves not only on representing students but also representing students who are disenfranchised in numerous ways, how do we respond to something like this? How do we make sure next time this happens, we hit the grounds with boots running, we're right there saying like, listen, we're supporting, we're sending emails out, we are with you. It's just kind of just some thoughts that I was speaking to a few folks at the Go Sit In. So I wanted to bring those to everybody's attention. No problem.
So on that, wait, did you?
Are we doing working group reports?
Yeah, I was gonna ask on that note, do we want to move on to working group reports?
Yeah.
Okay, working group Senate.
Any special reports
Student engagement outreach working group met. I mean, we talked about pancakes with the president, and not much more country stuff. Lots of musings about. I mean, this was in the middle of the protest action. It was right before the trustee.
It was right before the trustee.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about that. We talked about outreach connected to it. If you want to speak to it anymore.
I don't really think we.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty standard.
That.
Do we want to do SFC?
Oh yes, we did meet SSC Student Senate Working Group. Is that the day Friday? Friday. We met on Friday. What did we talk about? We talked about the Conservatory Council a lot. There's this fundamental problem in student government. I don't know if you guys know Deron McDaniel. He is the conservatory student on the SFC. He thinks, and I believe him, that the Council is doing really good work. I know that there is discrepancy about what kind of work they're doing or anything like that. There are a lot of ideas. I mean, the Council wants to get stipended. They want to get paid for their work. But there are a lot of questions about how to institutionally incorporate Council, if at all, into the student government structure. Because as it currently stands, they're not written into the Constitution of any kind. That has been voted on by the general faculty, and the students, like our Constitution has been. So there are some big questions. Apparently it used to be that the designated conservatory seat on Senate was held by the Council president. So I don't know. We don't know what we're going to do. We need to talk to them. Senate needs to be in conversations with Council to figure out what the heck is going on, what they do, and how that differs from what we do, and whether or not we need to incorporate them in some institutional manner.
When do they meet? Could we invite them to
No, we
one?
can't. They don't have regular meeting times, but they don't have regular meeting times, which is kind of part of the problem. They meet on sort of like an as-needed basis.
Oh. Because I thought maybe if they could come in.
I think them coming to Plenary would be a great idea, and we should ask at least a couple representatives. Somebody needs to come.
We
What
talked.
did they say? They said no, they can't come.
No, she said they well.
Sure, sometime we can get together.
It was very big, but they would like to talk to us. But
Well, they need to reach out.
I think maybe chartering liaisons. I know it's not technically your guys' job to deal with getting student government organizations constitutions and affirm the general faculty and stuff like that, but maybe you guys could get in contact with them. Sure.
Just figure out what the heck they do.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll send her an email. You have her email?
Jeanette? Yeah.
I feel like that was most of what we talked about at the meeting. We also just kind of talked about the general stipending structure for Senate and at the SFC. and from other student groups to talk about how much of a mess that is,
I think
and how we don't know what to do about it. So we're gonna work on it.
Just a quick update on the Sustainable Transit Working Groups or Sustainable Transportation Working Group / Coalition. The bike, just wanted to let you know that the bike safety event that we were trying to organize, I updated you, I kept updating you about, didn't actually happen, and part of the reason was because we were unable to get the logistics from the bike co-op about what they wanted to do for the event before the date was set. But, however, something good that came of it was we were able to establish an agreement with the bike co-op where they would put lights on all of their bikes for the next semester, so that addresses directly the concern of the community members who are involved. But what we will be doing is organizing a major bike safety event in the spring. And so now that we have a lot of time to have a major, because it's going to involve partnerships with biking organizations in the community, to involve kind of the work that's being done to get more bike lanes and overlanes, a whole kind of smorgasbord of public transport activism that is going to probably coalesce in this event. I'm hoping and being optimistic about it, but I just wanted to throw that out there and make sure it's on the radar and let you guys know that that is what we are going to be focusing on. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, on that note, general feeling on moving on to decision.
Oh, so
That was committee. That was working group, my bad.
Yeah.
Moving on to committee reports, rather.
So you don't have.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, okay.
So I'm on the library committee. And so there, we haven't met yet, but I met with Ann Sheriff, Professor Sheriff, who chairs it. She's very enthused. She's trying to bring Ray English, the director of libraries, is retiring at the end of this year, which is kind of a major transition for libraries since he's been around since the 90s, 95 or something, I want to say. And they're trying to bring a speaker who can talk, but the administration isn't giving them money to bring a speaker to come talk about libraries. So I guess there's going to be a push by the library committee to get money to bring a speaker that I will likely be a part of. Fighting the fight.
The library committee, apparently that's what the action is. Okay.
Okay, proposal to move on to decisions. Wait, any appointments now?
Okay, committee appointments. So we can get rid of the student information thing, I think. But we have one committee appointment. Her name is Jeanette. She would like to be on the conservatory education and.
Is it Jeanette Chen?
It is.
So the Conservatory Council.
She is a member of the Conservatory Council. That's
Okay, good.
And she'd like to be on the Conservatory Educational Policies Committee. Corey, can you pull up her application? Yeah.
I thought there weren't any open spots on it.
Where are there?
Albert should be on it.
I would have been on the committee by now, but I know the response. I thought it was 0 response.
I believe.
Nevertheless, to the business end.
Regardless, I mean, regardless, the spot will be opening up anyway, because they weren't appointed this semester, so her term will be expired at the end of this semester.
Jeanette's will?
No. But, yeah, so she's applying for a position. She's very qualified. She's on the Conservatory Council. So she definitely has a good grasp of the needs of the conservatory.
You want to say something?
Show the application. So
I interviewed notes. During the interview, she spoke a fair amount about social justice and trying to integrate the conservatory into the larger campus discussion surrounding social justice. She talked about mental health resources and programming they've been doing with the Connor Council that she wants to extend and bring the conservatory ed policy committee. Yeah, so she seems eminently qualified and very interested and driven.
Did we want to pass it around, or did you?
Well, do you want to forward it to me?
Yeah, I can do that. Although
It's not anything exceptionally interesting.
is there any cost for concern?
No. she's already exhibited a significant commitment to conservatory policies through the Conservatory Council. So.
What sort of policies, like in terms of like actual educational policies rather than social
What did she
or
mention?
extracurricular policy, but actual like curricular policy?
In terms of things she's done, she mentioned she was involved in a campaign by the Conservatory Council to stop the trashing and vandalization of practice rooms, which I guess was relatively successful. In terms of the educational policies she'd like to enact,
She mentioned having more dialogue with professors who get hired, just trying to make that hiring professor process more transparent, I think. Trying to engage. Like, I think she really wants to just like create more of a dialogue surrounding social justice and stuff in the conservatory. That was the impression I think what it was.
So more
Which-
social justice oriented.
Specific policy, but I think there's no interaction. She thinks there's.
she specifically mentioned I don't know if any of you guys went to the concert. I believe it was at the same time as the alumni. Sorry, not the alumni, the trustee forum. She specifically mentioned that the concert to benefit. I believe it was to benefit. It was it was like a space for.
I saw the ads for this as an open and informal concert that had to do with addressing kind of recent issues, expressing your feeling that through
Yeah, and so, yeah, I think one that she really definitely made it apparent was that she would like more student input in educational policies in the conservatory, including hiring.
Okay.
Should I propose that we appoint her?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Gary's?
Do you
Aye.
want to discuss more? You sure you don't want to discuss more?
Just if you have questions particularly to the conservatory, maybe relating what she says and what that means to the conservatory, address some of those. And frankly, certainly there's very low baseline levels of activism and the social justice concern. I can't speak for everyone at the conservatory, but certainly I have a feeling that most students either are, one, preoccupied with musical study and or in terms of the belief are not of general feeling that there's a sense of separation in the conservatory. Now, regardless, I'm not making a statement about what different people think and what goes on. I am not qualified to speak on that. In terms of this committee, I'm not sure if this committee is actually the forum for such kinds of social justice concerns and changes, since I think that this committee more oriented toward the general planning of conservatory academic policy and such. All the music classes, the same way that the College of Arts and Sciences is many departments. We have fewer departments, they're all basically interrelated. So that's my statement.
Okay, we'll have a vote.
Y'all ready to get ready to vote?
All in favor of
Aye.
appointing Jeanette to the committee?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All abstaining or refusing?
Aye.
Okay, she's appointed.
All right, then, on to creating a task force for break and going hungry.
Wait. Proposal to take a break because everyone is really out of it today. Yeah.
5 minute break?
5 minute break.
5, 10.
5, whatever it is. We should all try to be better when we come back.
I really think that the order of plenary is wrong. That we should take the order of.
I know, I feel the
Why do you
same.
think it's
And we
wrong?
say that decisions and discussions are like the two most important things.
Well, they revert their idea.
The rest of the stuff is all not supposed to see.
Well, yeah, like when
Like we
we,
end up spending more time on those things because we feel like we can.
So they almost
always
always
relate down to all discussions.
I think we should switch decisions and discussions.
Well, even though, I mean, decisions can be made at any point during the meeting.
Yeah.
But, right, but I do agree that discussion should be decision. It
I
should
think
be.
we should go approval of agenda,
I'm gonna go.
outside business, announcements.
We have to pick and choose our battles.
We can do whatever we want.
I know, we do have to pick and choose, like, figure things out. How do these later?
But I feel like it really could like make it so like in important discussions, you're getting put off.
I know.
Keep getting.
It frustrates me too, but I think part of the reason they get put off is because we don't try to engage with everything. And like, we just like went through our agenda quickly. Like, there are minutes and we've been where we are.
We should definitely try and get through our agenda fast.
although there have been some nights that we finished at like 9.
Yeah, that's when we didn't have shit to see. Now we because we were new. Now we know what we need. Wow, we have
Our longest planners were in the beginning.
That is true.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah,
nuts.
last Plenary, we like extended it.
I have like really out of energy,
That happened.
and I feel bad because the whole like end part of what we were just doing, I was like not listening to a word. I was just like,
Yeah.
does it matter? Yes, but it
Well,
like,
we were all late last night too, so we were out till like 3, I think.
yeah, but
Why are you up so late? Just.
I actually, I was studying all day, so I needed a break.
Studying.
For these,
No.
big
What?
exams,
What now?
these learning things that everyone keeps insisting that I have to do.
No, that doesn't sound fun.
You know, I actually much prefer exams to papers. That's true. They are like more fun than papers.
I was kidding.
I mean, like if you're comparing fun levels of like assessments, they're about as fun as an assessment can be.
I like essays.
Really? I
Yeah.
feel like they're more like constant stress.
But,
Like,
like-
with the exam, you take it and it's done.
I like writing. I don't know.
I understand
Or, you know, every class can be art and I can just paint.
I feel strongly about the fact that Plenary feels so boring because we spend more time.
that. Well, sometimes we just let things drag on. Like, so there's like 10 minutes of silence, just complete silence, where we're just like,
Okay, so Megan thing was important, but like we didn't necessarily need all of that. The Zach thing was important, but we definitely didn't need all of that. These committee things.
that dragged.
That dragged, but that has to happen.
That's drag. But I think the problem is that the stuff we can get done really efficiently are those types of things, and thus they should be the end. While the things that like discussions, we end up trying to make our discussions really efficient because they're at the end and everyone wants to leave and everyone's checked out. And like I think those are the most important things.
I think that's probably true, but like when we do those things quickly, like on the days when we're like on our shit and we do it right, like it does go really fast. Like we can get to decisions in like
Well, things
40
have,
minutes.
things have changed because it used to be that we weren't meeting with people during office hours. We weren't actually doing work groups and we didn't have committees. So that's what's happening.
I still feel like there's just like a lot of dead space like in our discussion today. Like everyone was low energy. So like even like so when no one was talking, we were like, oh right, we should probably go on to the next thing. Like I don't
It's
think
definitely not those little moments, but
it adds up though.
I just
Oh, I was like, yeah, it's what you really want, but.
Nothing I think you would be interested in.
I'll tell you what I really, really want.
I don't know. See this? I use this one to wipe it off. Like I can't get this far, so like this is the only bottle I have. Like okay, concerned about people that didn't drink out of it.
Because there's some dark.
Because it's like, well, when I went, it's like.
Is it the inside or outside?
It's inside.
Stop drinking that.
I haven't gotten sick yet.
That's not a good baseline. I haven't gotten sick yet.
Yeah, it's all good.
That's not good.
H2O.
Not good.
What?
Show this work.
Exaggerated height or legitimate fact? In my memory, are there more people with nut allergies and others allergies here in general?
I haven't run into anyone.
You mean like Oberlin or do you mean like in the Senate?
No, no, Oberlin College community versus the American population.
Well, I haven't seen the data on that, but I don't know, I haven't met anyone who's
I've
like.
heard so many allergies
Really?
around.
Allergies?
I mean, it makes sense because like allergies, like there's a lot of geographical correlation with that.
Food allergies.
Oh yeah, are
I mean,
y'all allergic to things?
No.
I'm allergic to milk.
Tomatoes.
A little bit weird.
Okay.
Not lactose intolerant, milk.
I am lactose intolerant.
And
Oh,
also,
guys, you wanna have an ice cream party after this?
Make it literally.
I have a friend who somehow, she doesn't even do it on purpose, but she somehow brings up milk every single time.
Why is she your friend?
I asked her. Yeah, you know, so do I, but I have lactose-free milk, so.
Well, email her.
Oh, do you
That's not
use soy
milk.
milk? Do you use silk? Like, what's your brand?
I use lactate.
Oh, alright. So you're not like an almond milk person?
Oh, I hate almond.
Almond milk is pretty jank. Silk, on the other hand, is
Oh no,
pretty good.
silk is a quality
It's
milk.
like chocolate silk especially.
So that would have to get clarified.
But actually, I think vanilla almond milk can be really good. You just need to get like a slightly sweetened almond milk for it to be good. You can't get like plain almond milk. It's like that's the worst.
There are a lot of things about milk that are bad.
How do they make almond milk?
They melt almonds.
Thank you.
Well, you find the almonds out in the pasture.
Why
An
can't you
almond
just-
is an almond, they love each other
Bring
very
them
much.
into the barn.
What do you gain? What do you gain by this conversation?
Actually,
That may not be factually correct.
it's the.
Well,
I
I
believe
don't
it's a
hold-
process. Of,
Thank you,
It
Andre.
involves a bunch of
For all intents and purposes, that's all.
Water, I meant capacity.
Yeah, I don't know. As long as it's working.
I mean,
Yeah, guys.
I never intended for this to happen.
No, we don't need to, we should, can we resume if you're not here?
No.
Well, it's discussion, so there's no real.
There's
no point.
People should get back.
Otherwise,
I don't know where they all went. TBH.
I don't know, a lot of them kind of were like.
I should have set a time. I was just like, let's take a 5-minute break.
I know, and then a lot of people were like,
Ask them
10-minute
to
break,
get
and
a
then.
new
15-minute break.
old fashioned mechanical.
No, it's
typewriter.
not a 15-minute break yet. We're out 10-minute break. Now that she
Wait, what?
I don't know.
Maybe we just fix all of them.
No, why do you have it at work?
Because there's some things that require a actually structured for the selectorate, the idea.
All right.
Is fine. However, the
We're
correction
gonna,
driven.
we're gonna bring the energy this time.
No, basically, here's an example. Well, I was having formatting, and he's like, what if I just type it manually?
I'm drawing something and they announce you can
But the mechanical ones, not functioning.
I thought
Very
center.
I always wanted to do that, but I have no idea how to.
If you want a
profile
so then there's electric one, really nice electric. And I figured I had to set this up.
The Marvel. Okay, so that's what I was having.
All right, y'all. We have 10 of us. We should.
Yeah. All right, I'm restarting the. We're gonna resume with the back in timer now. Oh no, they got back, Jesse. Come on. Okay, so first on the discussion is MRC training for the trustees. For the trustees. Well, oh no, no. MRC training for us.
MRC training for us and everything training for the trustees.
Yeah.
Basically. No, seriously.
So I'm gonna open.
I'm gonna like take a bunch first, but if people want to.
Also, I'll have to leave by like 9:20, 9:15 because my laptop is like that. I don't want to get confused. I can come back, but I can. So
We'll talk about the game session. So I guess I'll open stack for MRC training.
Okay, well, Justin isn't here, but he has been trying to set up the MRC training. He set out a couple of when is goods, but the problem is when we're free, they're not free, because I've talked to him about this a couple of times, and he says, yeah, I keep trying, but every time like I send out a when is good, our when is goods never match theirs. So he is unsure as to how to proceed.
I think we're specifically discussing MRC training for the trust.
No, that's those are two different things.
I'm gonna say, did I put MRC training on the agenda?
Because we already sort of discussed this.
Yeah, I think it's something that we're gonna have to figure out for next semester. And I think we should wait.
All right, then.
Moving on. Well, Albert, did you still want to say?
I mean, is everyone okay with that?
Well, it's formalized
Yeah,
statement.
Can we say like how people feel about that?
On moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Albert wanted to say something.
Okay.
Then you can go.
To formalize what we're saying. For this semester, the training is moot, and so now it'll be the job of us as the transitioning into the interim senate to be discussed later, to set up the training for next semester and the next senate, which bylaws require it's supposed to be within the first 2 weeks of the session. Now, our session started like 2 weeks after. Normally, 2 weeks in would be straight out the syntax on that, and so likewise now just try to set up for the next group.
Okay, Ben. You said you wanted to talk about moving on.
I'll do something before that though. I think maybe we should just, someone should take point on just scheduling like way in advance. And MRC training is just saying like this is when it's gonna be, we have this scheduled, like everyone's gonna do this. Just so like before people make plans and things like that next semester, like just like this is something you need to do. Do you wanna do that?
I'll take point on that, yeah. I can do that.
And then we skipped the break back.
Oh.
Let's do it really fast.
No, we should finish with
We should finish this and then we should go back and then we should.
Mock and then
I
back.
was gonna say, it might be good to make this at the same time as the Senate training. So you just, then like everyone has to go to that, so
Yeah, I
knocking
agree.
things out at once, so maybe think about that.
Again.
One of my worries with that is usually the Senate training is, I mean, it takes 2 hours, right?
No.
Very nice.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Then the allyship training tends to be about 2 hours. So it would work really well just find that.
Back again.
Yeah, you all don't mind me saying this. So out of curiosity, for straw poll, I guess raise your hand if you've ever been to an MRC training before. Okay, that's a lot fewer than I thought, so maybe we do need one.
So I'm wondering if we are going to make a decision about the break task force, could this be under that decision? Because presumably in the break task force decision, we're going to be talking about who is actually on the break task force and who is going to be the point person for this. Is that, did I not make any sense?
I don't get it.
Why would I go to the break task force? I'm talking about because the break task force doesn't involve someone who's going to be actually making sure that the MRC training happens.
Two separate issues.
Two separate issues.
Two
Sorry,
separate
I'm
issues.
very confused. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's the break, it's like the break, like going hungry thing that we did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
skipped it.
It's Sunday.
Forgot it. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. That was.
Oh my gosh.
It's the Sunday before the Sunday before finals, get it right. Anyway.
So
sorry about that.
Quick bookkeeping question: is next Sunday's plenary our last scheduled plenary? Cool.
Is it?
Is it? Yes.
Okay. Oh, maybe I'll bake it.
No, we are having plenary next Sunday, but it's the last one, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right, let's do
I
it.
propose, we're going after break task force. I propose the creation of a formal, getting students resources over break task force.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah, wait, hold on.
I have a clarifying question.
Oh, sorry.
A clarifying question is, how would that relate for interims and next semester? The establishment of a task force this week.
You have to like reestablish all your task force in the working group and beginning of each semester.
No, so task force are in existence until they're dissolved as a result of completing the mission. So
Cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna create the task force. I'll be a point person, like, but if someone else wants to, that'd be sick. That'd be super awesome. Yes,
This is voluntary too.
How
closely do you want to work with Res Ed working?
I have no idea. I do want this to be like, because I don't feel like it's a working group where we're necessarily like figuring out what the issues are. Like, I think this is like a let's make shit done. Like we figured out a problem.
Okay.
But anyone from a Res Ed working group who wants to work with us, like me right now, us, that would be amazing. Yes.
Would it be possible to share 3 point people for it? Because I think this is something that's going to get done. This needs to get done really quickly, and if we share responsibility, we'll actually get more done.
Definitely.
I'd be willing to share.
Nolan and I are going to go point people.
If anybody, please.
Justin, I think, though, still has the list of people from the forum.
So should we vote on this now?
Yeah. Did we not just? We
Yeah,
have to vote on
we
point
agree.
people?
Yeah, we
Or
voted
chairs?
on making it.
Well, I thought we stopped.
Oh, yeah.
We did not vote on it.
Okay, I propose to create the student resources over break task force. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, Nolan and I will be co-appoint people. It's gonna be a next semester project probably. But if any of you guys want to help, like, even if you're staying the meeting, just like, please do.
Okay. Then back into discussions with anti-racist training for the trustees. I'm gonna put myself down first for stack because after the forum was over, Ty, Ben, and myself all walked with Diane, you back to the Oberlin Inn and just gonna have an ongoing discussion with her.
Very descriptive.
Yeah.
The woman cried. Sorry.
We brought up the anti-racist training for the trustees, and she seemed, I guess she wasn't for or against it, I don't think, but she wanted details on what that would encompass, so she could pass it on to the trustees, because I guess her understanding was that if she knew what it was, she could probably convince people that it should happen.
I think that's like a somewhat unfair characterization. To me, she seemed open to it, but just had no idea what they were,
Yeah.
like what that entailed.
That's probably a better description of her opinion. Ben and then Nick.
I think that when it comes to this, the issue is so like we tend to look at the trustees as sort of like one single body, but like really they are like a grouping of individuals. And I can totally see like a lot of them being like totally down with this. But I can also see a lot of them not being down with this. So I think one of the questions we have to consider is obviously we'll pursue like training for all of them, but at what point like do we pursue, because like I'm sure we could do a lot of it voluntarily, but at a certain point we will have to like somehow convince a lot of them who don't want to do it.
Big man work.
Did you say class of 55?
There is a trustee member.
Well, like,
class.
he was open to it. And I was trying to explain respectability politics to him. He was listening, he was trying.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, shut up. He was like, I just don't quite get this.
It's class of 85 you gotta worry about.
Oh, yeah, class of anything you're nice.
My question is for Megan, I think, which is there work being done on this right now in like BOC community?
Like training the trustees.
I didn't know. Okay, so I think we should write something to the class trustee about this, like write an email or whatever.
Direct response I think is on stack.
One of the things that I kind of worry about is the role of trustees on campus and what kind of power they have in the role as a trustee, because most of the people are volunteers, and have somewhat of a limited role. And like I think it's a great idea. It's just figuring out where it fits in with the actual role of a trustee.
Were you at the forum?
I wasn't at the forum, no, I was before me.
I feel like it was very clear that in order for students to allow an effective dialogue with trustees,
Yeah.
they need to learn about
What the trustees do.
No, the trustees.
What's significant about?
I should?
Yeah.
I think, so the way that anti-racists work, or maybe Zach can talk about it, but the way that their anti-racists work when they were here in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, was very different than the anti-racist work that's being done now.
Okay.
And the way that we talk about anti-racist work is very different. The vocabulary that we use, the terms that are acceptable, just like the way the awareness is so much greater now than it was then. And, you know, my personal opinion is that, you know, when they were doing work, it was about eradicating racism.
Yeah.
And now it's about shedding light to here's all the ways that racism still exists and exists in all of us.
Why was racial societies not?
And so they were saying things that hurt students at the trustee forum, but they don't understand why.
Okay.
And we need to understand why.
Yeah, we need to make them understand.
Okay.
Mark, did you want to go and then I guess Zach?
Yeah, I was gonna say I talked to Joe afterwards, and he suggested we all like get on the phone. They couldn't do today, but maybe like next weekend or perhaps this is something for next. Well, I mean, so the next listening session is until March. Because there's there's one with class trustees, and so there's a considerable amount of time before then. But I think a place to start. So I don't think that we're in a position to like convince every single trustee member to do this. I think like you convince a few of them, and they have to convince the rest. Because I think our relationship is not right, and that's whatever it is. But class trustees would be a very good starting point. And Yang in particular is like very interested in this kind of stuff. And I mean, just go to it and talk to make much value by it. Assume kids do experience in the past. So I think that's a good start. If you guys want to, we should talk about like how we want to set that up. Or if that's going to, I mean, it's probably going to be next semester, so that'll be figured out when we
They come in February. They come in March too.
They only come in March.
They come
Francis March and then June.
Francis said the steering committee is meeting in the beginning of February.
Yeah, but I thought we were talking.
That's true.
Yeah, but I thought we were saying with the listening session for the trustees.
Right. So I think I think our goal should be setting up, offering a training and really strongly encouraging trustees to come for when they come to March.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Zach?
Yeah, I guess I have 2 points. The first one is I think the biggest opposition of like from the trustees and whatnot is like it's a 34-member board, which also includes like Marvin and like 6 alumni elected trustees, you know, and I think like the biggest opposition would be logistical of like even having it. I think that would be like the first part. Even like some people who might agree would still oppose it, like on logistical grounds. So I think we need to like, if we're going to advocate for this, that we need to do it in a way that kind of like can overcome that hurdle. And also like on the like notion of like anti-racist training, I think like it needs to go like beyond that. It needs to go on like a training on like how like trustees can relate to the student body, because like if you're it's not just like race, it's like a whole host of other things. Like if you're like, you can't vote on, you can't like make any financial decision if you like have no idea what like financial inaccessibility means here at Oberlin. And you like, and you can't like, if someone's like saying, hey, being the 7th highest, like I'm gonna use an example from a conversation I had with a trustee, you know, actually she didn't even tell me her name, so I can't even tell you who she was. Like if you're gonna be like, oh, hey, we should think about not having like the 7th highest tuition in the U.S. and like, the response is basically being laughed at and like, do you have an idea what our discount rate is? I'm like, yes, it's roughly 40%. Thank you for assuming like I'm advocating this out of ignorance. Thank you. You know, and like if you're just like the trustees are like gonna like just like talk down to students, then like there's a much more fundamental issue here.
Yes.
Nick,
so I know I've said this before, but I think the best way to shore up these claims is to you know, disseminate information widely so that you know the trustees, unfortunately, you know, a lot of them are going to assume our ignorance, and that's shitty, but that's also somewhat inevitable. And I think the way to counteract that is to demonstrate that we're not, is to say like, no, we have this info. By the way, we have the same info as you. We're on, you know, we're trying to put ourselves in the same like level playing field as you guys, because you know, information is power, and you have ready access to information that we don't necessarily have ready access to. Or at the very least, and people use as an excuse like, oh well, this is public information, it's on the website. But like, how many people who are taking 16 credits and who, you know, work jobs and who are student senators and are spending time on extracurriculars, like, who actually has time to do that? Like, very few people. So what I'm saying is, I do have time to do a lot of these things. Some of us may have time to do a lot of these things. Yeah, but if you're willing to commit the time, that's wonderful. Some people are incapable of committing the time just because they have to commit their time to other things. So being honest with yourself and saying like, I can do this, and then figuring out a way to like make that much more readily accessible for students, like getting this information and then disseminating it, you know, taking the active hand and doing that so that they don't have an excuse. They don't have the excuse of them assuming we're ignorant. I had something else to say. Let me see if I can remember it. If I can't, it's all good. Yeah, I can't remember it. All right, that's cool.
So, two things that, and one came from off of your comment, Nick. So, I think, and this kind of plays into the discussion of what our role is when the trustees come here. And I think one of our roles as Senate, if we do take it upon ourselves to provide at least a platform where students can be educated about this, is maybe having like a trustee informational center before the trustees come, talking about this is what the trustee, these are what the trustees do, these are who they are. If you want to approach them about financial policy, here are their exact parameters, here's how they operate. And that way, students would have the opportunity to come to the informational session, learn about who the trustees actually are, what they do, and therefore, when they actually engage them face to face, they will have a much stronger and more robust critique. The second thing is, this was bounced around in our office hours and our working group, was team of the trustees. An idea that would have been analogous to the kind of coffee with Krislov. And the idea would be that if certain members, very rough idea, if the certain members of the trustee were willing to sit down with students as part of their period of being here, wouldn't have to be mandatory or everything like that. This would give the opportunity for students to have a human, face-to-face, much more relaxed conversation with the trustees, get to know them personally, and actually develop a relationship with them, so that they could perhaps explain and tell the stories of the trustees to other students. I just think that would be a great way to, and then vice versa, the trustees would get to know the struggles of students on campus here. So it would serve to kind of repair that gap that Ty, you I think explicitly mentioned in the email you sent to us about kind of that gap, those gaps of mistrust. So those two things are something that perhaps we might want to consider moving forward.
Jordan, then Megan on stack after.
I was just gonna wonder about what kind of concrete steps we could take. I think those are excellent ones. I wonder who we should look to give a presentation with trustees, whether we want to be a student or whether we want to be someone in the administration.
Can I just like sort of, I don't know if this is a direct response, but this is just like talking about, you know, this could be, if not a replacement for the way the forums are set up, like a reevaluation of the way these forums are set up, because it would put, you know, these forums are set up by class trustees, so it's
the open forum with the trustees.
Yeah, they're set up by class trustees, ergo they're set up by the trustees, ergo we're sort of on their turf.
Yeah.
You know, and that I think that could be largely symbolic, but I think that flipping that and having it be run, instead of run by the class trustees, having it be run by student senate could be like, it may sound symbolic, but it actually really could go a long way. Because I mean, and that changed it. It's like, no, you're here for us. Like, we're not coming here for you guys. You're coming here for us.
I wonder if the class trustees would be interested in giving a presentation on the way the trustee board works and what their experience has been with them. I don't know if they feel like that would jeopardize their position or not on the board of trustees, but if they were comfortable just talking to us in general terms about what being on the board is like, what they feel like they have influence over and what they don't, that could be useful.
Megan, then?
So at the tail end of the demonstration yesterday, I don't know how many of you are aware that there was a demonstration, but students lined up with posters in Carnegie at the end of the trustee dinner, and I was at the top of the stairs, was talking to a few trustees, and they were asking me questions, you know, firing off about my concerns, and it was a really good dialogue, and he was just like, hey, you know, like, we are totally open to having these kinds of conversations like this, like, why don't we have these kinds of conversations? And like, this would like not only give them a great opportunity to like put their money where their mouth is, like if we let, you know, like if that's true, but also it's just like how many students have the like privilege of talking to trustee members often, or like feeling like they're doing that without like being disruptive or being out of place or being sensed like they're, or like sensing that they feel like out of place or what have you, you know, like if we created a formal space for like not only trustees to be like, well, if you could protest, we listen, you know, like we can do this, and it would send a really powerful message to students about like who has access to this. It's not just us, it's not just admins, it's like everybody. So I think this is huge. I think it's a great idea. I don't know about tea.
Alliteration.
Turn up with trust.
So I think it seems clear that the consensus is that we should start going on maybe trying to organize some sort of event. So I was wondering if people would feel comfortable like assigning a person to sort of take point on like finding a venue, like looking at the logistics of it, and then also like with the help of everyone else, obviously, like contacting trustees and seeing if they're open to it.
On the latter, I think I'm in a pretty good position to do that.
Okay.
So I can at least take co-point on that. Sure. I am not as confident in my ability to look up and find an event and find a venue. That's not my forte. So like if somebody else would like to also take point on that.
Nolan, Zach, Nick.
Sorry, something just very quick. Do you think this would be a good idea to formalize into a task force since it involves one, planning an event, but also talking about the exact structure of the event?
I worry about that.
Yeah,
I worry about that. Just because again, we've all already bitten off way more than we can chew in terms of like things that we've like, you know, instituted.
Yeah.
So like we have an outstanding task force right now, for example. No, the panel. Yeah, we exactly
my question is like, who would be the like most appropriate person to like contact from like within the trustees, you know, to like if there's going to be another event, you know.
Documenting them as possible.
I think it really
So,
needs to go to the class trustees.
So like there's no liaison between like the board of trustees and the student body. I mean,
Class
trustees.
I think that I mean, obviously we should contact the class trustees, but I think it would be good to contact trustees individually themselves, just because like, it seems to be like when they're as a group, they're not necessarily always open to these sorts of things, but like as individuals, when you talk to them, they like want to do it. So I think this would be completely voluntary too. So I think it's good to make sure that as many of them know that as possible. I don't know how we go about that, because like I also don't want to like just like spam email like all the trustees.
Well, yeah, and sending email to like trustees at Oberlin, who knows if that's actually gonna reach anyone.
It should reach the 3 class trustees. That's
right.
I think that when it comes down, I think we also have to just have a discussion with Grislow, Catherine Stewart, whoever's in charge of making the trustees schedule when they come. Because I think, like the trustee forum, I guess I'm going back to the trainings, but I think these are the 2 things we want. When they come in March, we want to have the forum type thing go very differently, or just be a different format, not go very differently, different format. And we want there to be a time set out for them to engage in a training. I don't honestly know who makes that schedule. Somebody does.
Somebody definitely, and especially as it relates to the steering committee, and as it relates specifically to at least one working group within the steering committee, it's apparently been largely a shit show, the scheduling. So, we all know how hard scheduling is, seeing as we never did these trans-allyship workshops. We all know how hard these things are. So, but it doesn't give us any excuse to not do it. Or that anyway, it doesn't give anyone an excuse to not do anything. You know?
I propose your general feelings on moving on or starting to close stack, just because it's 9.
Yeah, it's 9:15.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to walk out of here in like 5.
Okay.
We're kind of close to the end.
I know. Can you strike the thing that I was gonna talk about? We
Sure.
can bring it up next time. Yes.
You had the grading.
Yeah. I probably work on that, and I feel more comfortable doing some work on that before coming to you.
Okay. Then, do we want to continue with the anti-racist training, or do we want to move on to the?
Well, let's do what Ben said and figure out point people. And I said I'm glad to take on at least half of that responsibility, but I am not confident in my ability to. Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah. You wanna tag team this?
This is
I'll
specific
help
to
too.
us.
I want to help too.
Huh?
I'll help too.
Yeah. No.
Oh my god, look at this sandwich.
Yeah.
With
Reverse.
it's like
Nick, what are you gonna do when you leave Senate next semester though?
Huh? Oh, I have not made that decision.
All right.
Yeah, don't worry.
These past 2 weeks have very much changed my reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry for saying that. Right.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
We could do more.
Each student gets a map.
I didn't make a decision on it.
Okay, so
Trustee date. Tinder with trustees.
Oh, like
Tinder with the trustees.
No, and so can I say one thing about this reorganization idea? I don't want this to come off to anybody listening to this as we want to silence demonstrations. We don't want to silence them. We want to make demonstrations as effective as possible. We want to create a space that will allow for these demonstrations to have their full effect. We're not interested, I am not interested in silencing any sort of demonstrations. I think that the work needs to be done on the trustee side to make sure they're hearing what people are saying. The work doesn't need to be done. I mean, maybe some work needs to be done on the demonstrator side, but that's not for me to say because I didn't take an active hand in this. But we can take an active hand in changing the format, so I think that's where we should be focusing our efforts. I just wanted to say that on the
chill. I think,
Thanks.
even though we closed back, I think Jordan's on the thing. I think Ty has something to say.
Interesting.
Probably much stuff.
Okay. That's that understanding.
Y'all ready to move on to fact finding?
Feelings of moving on to fact finding.
Yeah.
Okay. That was.
Yes, I guess I'll start out. I guess there's like a lot of information that's available in like really obscure places. It's difficult to find, but they can be found. So I was wondering, what I would like to happen is to have some sort of place where people can like put information that they would like to find out that they can't find themselves, or they don't have time to find themselves, or whatever. like in a central place so that people who like do have time or have access to the information can like go there and then just be like, hey, listen, like I'm gonna go through and find this stuff and then like distribute it somehow. So that was what I was thinking about.
What would that look like?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it
Could it be like a referendum? Could it be like a Google form? Like,
or just a Google Doc.
yeah, just like if ever wondered about something particular about this campus, like post it here.
What about like Oberlin questions on Facebook? You just like look at that and then people submit questions.
People are gonna send in like.
You're gonna be like, oh, like Ben and Jordan single, like.
which is fine, but so I think if we could do that, we could do that on Facebook, but then we should have a little bit more of a legit.
Facebook is the only place I see like conversations actually actively happening.
It's the easiest place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the most accessible place.
We can send out an all-campus email. We can send out, we can send out an all-campus email with a link to a Google form. We can have links to that Google form on our Facebook page. We can share it
I
on
think
class
we should
pages.
do all of these things. I think we should do all of these things together.
This is something I've been wanting to do for the transparency working group for a while, but it hasn't really seemed like super necessary.
Is the transparency working group meeting Thursday?
Hopefully, I gotta book the room a while, but hopefully.
Book it, because I think that we can just like do this. We can just make this happen.
I agree.
So I guess we come to a consensus on that. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Okay, really quick, sorry about fact finding. I just downloaded the PDF of all of the info that we were just talking about and I shared it to all of us on Google Drive. It's just much easier because the link doesn't bring you anywhere. The link brings you to the homepage, so I downloaded a PDF and shared it with all of us so we can just look it up on Google Drive.
Is there an easy way to put this on Facebook?
Unfortunately, I just tried and it exceeds the 4 megabyte limit. But we can basically, like, if somebody wants to do this, it's a little tedious. You can actually screenshot every single page and post each one as an image, and then post a series of images. And I'm glad to do that. I can do that right now.
We could do it to start with just the one relevant page.
Or that I would argue that financial breakdown is also extremely relevant
So
to
we
a lot
can
of
just do
people.
a couple relevant screenshots.
I can do that right now.
Do it. Fuck
Yeah.
Do it.
Fucking do it, Ty.
Do it. All right. What's next?
Next is the referendum.
All right, what's the deal?
Oh, so we have about last I checked 1,480 responses, so that's within the number that we need. And so if we break that down to about 90, is it like 90? I mean, it's about 100 responses from each of us. I went through and looked at some of them. There are definitely some issues with some of the T numbers that we got, meaning some of them don't have the right number of numbers for a T number.
They can skip zero though.
What?
They can skip that first zero though, can't they?
So there's also that issue. Many people didn't put T0. They just did T0, 1, blank, 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 right? And so there are some pretty easy ways to basically just look. There are some automated ways to check to make sure that every T number that we have is in the list of students that we have. It's not very difficult to do on Excel. And so we can do that. I know that Albert's brought up issue with that.
No, it was as a matter of that, the automated, then you just, those that are rejected and are manually checked.
Oh, okay. That's the.
I felt that there was something unclear. I thought I made it clear that, no, I'm behind the automated.
Okay.
But I'm also for manually checking that which is automatically considered invalid because many things can be resolved.
Sure.
That sounds like a good idea.
I think it sounds good.
Why do I talk directly to the person I'm addressing when everybody else is
So that can make it pretty quick and easy. One of the things that I think would be helpful is I thought about going through and changing each. It looks like there's only about 180 of these. So I mean, it's the size of one number, but it's not bad. T number that does not format correctly with the T0. So anyone who left out T0, I thought about just going back and adding the T0 so that it would fit in the format, so that then when we did this kind of automated side, it was like, it would automatically count those ones as well.
Great.
I worry about tampering with the data that way, but
I don't think it's
Yeah, it's just good.
that is a pretty small.
in that case, it should be pretty quick. We can still break it up, but
What's the value of breaking up the first plug in Excel?
basically, like, I think it was less necessary. It's less necessary.
You don't need to do it, I don't think, let's just, you draw it and get it done.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yep, I can do that.
Well, you can just like select it on and select find duplicates, yeah?
Yes, I can try to. I haven't
No, it's in a
tried to
circle.
figure out duplicates.
I don't know, I've been told you do that, I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like you can. And especially if you ordered it in a particular way, you can basically go down and see it. See it.
You should probably also send one more email just in case.
One more email?
Just in case we didn't get it.
Yeah, why
Because
not?
we have until the end of the year to already fund that.
Oh, okay. Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, that would be good. Because we seem to be very close.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Good
Bye.
night. Mwah.
I'm with you all near.
Alright, what's next?
Take care. I'm not sure that we're done yet.
Are we gonna elect an operations manager?
That's next.
Right now?
Unless Marco wants to be operations manager.
But he's liaison.
Wait, you can't have any.
You can go ahead and nominate yes.
First.
Sarah talked to me during the office hour about, she asked me to take it over, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I might.
Could you?
Wait.
Also, like,
Wait.
Can we finish
This is preemptive.
So what are we gonna do about the checking of the thing? So we're just gonna
Yeah, let's do.
use the
Yeah.
function and then manually check the exceptions.
Yes, and then I can manually check the exceptions, and then we have the option to just throw the ones that are bad out, or
It depends on
It
how.
depends on how they're.
Well, we don't throw them out, just count the number of them that are and subtract it from the total so that we know whether we pass the threshold or not.
Okay.
As someone who literally spent like my summer working with like mostly in Excel, you know, I think I can help. You know, I think if Nick and I are like
I'm also
another
super big
Nick
Excel.
are like want to just
Guys,
like,
I know
sit
none
down, sometime preferably after Monday night, then I'd be down. You know.
Sure. I can do that.
So.
Thank you guys for the chat.
I do go ahead and Excel.
Really good.
Okay. So Nick, Zach, and Nick are gonna get on.
And Zach, you know.
Okay, yeah, okay. Not now. Brain. Okay, so they're gonna get on that. With that understanding, we're gonna move on to resigning and elections, and I guess also that will include operations manager.
So first things first, who's resigning? Raise your hand.
Okay, I think we have a problem here, which is that a lot of people just left.
Yeah.
But Marco is resigning.
Marco's resigning.
We know that for a fact.
We don't know.
Sarah has resigned.
We know it all for but a fact.
Okay. Nick
I also know.
Nick has resigned.
Wait, go ahead.
Wait, you're resigning?
Don't know what
You're
Megan's
resigning
doing.
to rerun?
Yeah, no.
If I decide to resign, I will rerun. That would be,
I'm also concerned.
yeah, that would be just to make it more fair and open. That would be my impetus. But as of now, I was considering for a long time resigning for good, but these past 2 weeks have sort of galvanized my, you know.
Woke him up.
Yeah, it made me feel like, all right, well, like, this is why the fuck I'm doing this, so maybe I should stick around.
Do you know if Megan had any plans?
You should talk to Megan.
Okay.
It's too bad she left right before.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, but I don't want to speak on
Right,
her.
sure.
Fine, connected.
Okay, well, wait. Nick.
I'll say favor.
Come on, guys, that's getting like so loud on the recorder.
Currently the plan? Currently the plan.
This is such a problem. Okay, swear to God, all the important discussions come and we're just done.
Yeah, we can talk
This
about
is
that.
that important.
but you will resign to rerun?
Yeah.
Perhaps. Let's
Yeah,
give them all time.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's not definitive.
Yes, if I resign, it will be to rerun.
Alright. Now.
Okay, bring that to you.
Now that I agree.
Yeah, positions, people, if people don't want to do them anymore next time. I am not going to do SFC co-chair. So yeah, people want to think about that.
But that's also important because preferably, if someone really wants to do it, they would probably want to
Start getting
going now because it's going to be a very steep learning curve going into spring budgeting.
Is anyone running from the SFC? Because that would be really ideal.
Maybe. We'll see.
But
So,
but the question is, does that mean there's default?
Yeah,
co-chair?
I'm not
I
sure I
don't-
would vote for them to be the all co-chair.
So then to address this is a point that I think we can talk about later, but obviously I'm sure Ty could be a mentor to someone that would be coming in.
And I also like, I haven't done spring budgeting. You guys all saw me, some of you saw me work today. Work.
I would take that all up back.
I hope it opened up some eyes to the daily struggle that was my Sunday.
I had no idea.
Oh.
But that was especially.
But it's even without that part.
Really?
We fight a lot.
So we've got 3 resignations.
3 for sure resignations.
What are the 3 for sure? Mark, Sarah, and
Nick.
Nick.
Nick, you are resigning.
Oh, right.
I'm going to do what Nick Canavan's doing, just in also in the spirit of keeping things more staggered.
The only other thing I think that's important is like I do think we have to recruit and like publicize
And
and
very deliberate about where we recruit,
Yes.
so that we don't end up with a room full of white boys.
Yes.
so let's all take that upon ourselves to get.
Also with the conservatory, I think. Like Albert's great, but they're still underrepresented in every aspect of student government on this campus.
True statements have not.
Yeah, Albert, we might have friends who want to run in the conservatory. Literally force them.
Also, like, I don't think there's any international students here.
That's true.
Yeah, at the same time, I think.
Oh,
yeah, that's right, Nolan. Shit, buddy, hold me down. I know for a red period. Maybe this is for Dave Olson. Can you just explain a little bit how interim senate works?
Interim senate, for the most part, I haven't had to deal with that. But interim senate, you kind of meet to keep things going. Usually the meetings, I think, are shorter. It's more to just kind of update everyone. They meet to, like, more happens on smaller levels. Like, there will be a couple people that are working on putting together the election. Like,
Yeah. That's another question I have. If you and Mark were gone, who the fuck is gonna help us figure out how to do the election?
Okay.
I mean,
thing.
I know.
I can
Contact Aaron.
like, I can
help.
I can help with that.
I didn't do election this last election either.
Aaron.
Like it was all Aaron and Emma Snake. Like
I'm
I
still here. She can volunteer her time.
She's thinking about running. Maybe.
Well, regardless, anyway, like I actually went to an interim plenary, which is where I was nominated to run and then accepted. Yeah, so like they're basically just like working on the election and like mostly the referendum, and that was about it. Cool. And it was literally just Mahmoud, Emma Snake, and Aaron.
Are people obligated to
Well,
go to
everyone
the
else
Senate,
is
or
not.
is it by like position?
Those are the ones who were willing to go.
And there are also like the only people that were like still in the Senate.
Because, because like last year's.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know, that's what happens when you don't pay people. Among a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Not during interim. Well, not during interim.
Also, guys, I just uploaded all of these individual pieces of data onto the Facebook area.
On to Senate Facebook? Or you
I have it up. I'm in the process of rearranging it so that it's actually in order, and then I
So this will go
will
one of 2 ways.
post this bitch.
On to Senate?
Anywhere you want.
Are you going to post it as?
I'm posting it as myself, but I can put it anywhere.
Can we post it as Senate?
I mean, if you send this to me, you can, or Ty, or anyone.
I think it would be pretty fucking awesome to post it as Senate.
Yeah.
Particularly because Jordan and Ben found it, and also to show that, hey, we're doing nice things.
Yeah, I have it right here.
You can post this yourself.
No, you just do it.
I have no.
As a
Student Senate can share it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can share it.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
thinking.
also,
It's fine.
as a formality, we have to vote to stay in plenary because it is now past 9:30.
What's that?
just we
Nothing.
have to figure out.
No, institutional memory.
I mean, we can talk about. I propose to extend plenary for 10 minutes.
Oh,
I'm
No,
not.
because
No? Okay.
I'm not for it particularly, but.
We have to do ops manager before we go. No.
Yeah, no, we.
Yeah, we're gonna need
Alright, proposal to extend plenary for 5 more minutes of discussion of the position of ops manager, and then we'll leave.
okay.
Feelings on the proposal?
Sounds Gucci. Jonathan, yeah.
No.
No.
Actually,
Well, which is this?
I mean, we also have to be like the next facilitator, you know, we have to like
Get more stuff.
do the like next meeting.
We'll do all the.
I'm not gonna see you.
That technically.
Next
really
facilitator
doesn't
for 10
change
seconds.
anything.
Okay, I will
Right.
say, I don't think Senate should be there.
I don't think we do.
You don't know if he's next week.
That's your last meeting.
Yeah.
I guess that technically, that is.
I think technically not even here. It could technically begin on Monday, but I don't think there's much value in just saying we're not going to meet individuals if they can't make it. So just
I don't wanna, I mean,
whatever now.
Well,
and then
the operations manager can take care of that right now. Right, okay,
Yeah, guys. It's
so let's discuss, is anyone besides Angela interested in becoming operations manager? I am
You are.
also.
Oh,
Yes.
if you wanna take it.
Okay,
What were your formal positions?
committee appointments coordinator.
You did a good job.
So did Ben, I'll vouch for him for whatever you want. Quick broke up. Zach, you do something to say?
No.
Okay.
Do you want?
No.
Oh, do you want?
I mean, I was like, not trying to ask on record, can you pass it out? I will.
Okay.
So many sillier things are on the record.
So then, if,
Okay, proposal to vote on Corey's ops manager.
General feelings on the proposal.
Oh, yeah.
do I have to technically leave?
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Accused. All opposed? All abstaining or accusing?
Corey, great.
Alright,
Yay.
Corey is the operations manager.
Have fun with that.
He wants to, celebrate.
Just said it was more fun.
Oh,
No one like that already.
Oh, I'll do it. I haven't done it yet.
Good shit. Good work, Liz.
Alright, so.
This is what I was like.
Yeah.
Sort of hard.
Did you post to the student senate?
No, I posted it as myself because that's all I uploaded. They're a little small.
Does anyone already know now that they will not
But
come
I don't know
next
how to fix that.
And it's
Did you give?
Does anyone know now that they will not come next week?
In your post?
I do not know yet. We'll be in touch. So for my schedule, I had to upload it as an outward. I couldn't upload it as a
For what?
post.
What did I do?
Wait, did you upload it? Did you post them on Facebook?
I posted it on my
Oh.
I
shared it as
Honestly, I'm gonna put them on the Facebook page. Yeah, she's probably.
I know. But you can also post on the Senate page as. Y'all are charming. See y'all.
And share on
Our post now, like, that we have.
But that's the last anyhow.
She was like,
Well,
We'll get you some help.
the guy.
maybe what I can do is, if I
And
find some
I
time
don't
this week,
think there was anything towards our
write them out.
interaction.
Neatly.
He came over
And we have Senate printing.
and he saw the
Like, we can do it all electronically. It would be best to have
I need to talk to
14.